1, 2, 3. Is it on the far side to Travis Zabolt, and there is so much weaponry here. Nick Finley is playing up at the top. He actually switched over to righty, but he is more of a lefty. They actually are going a little heavy lefty here with 4 lefties on the field. But Finley will switch it up pretty regularly. They're lucky to have Finley here. Saskatchewan Rush Camp doesn't start this weekend. There's a reverse shot by Zabolt that misses, but Fernandez is there to make sure they get possession. But Trent lucky to have Finley. He was the 16th pick by Saskatchewan in the NLL draft. They've also got Ethan Schott back in the fold, number 44, and he is an absolutely integral part of their defense. He was fantastic last year. And Trent gets the ball back. They're going to try and push the pace. This is Josh Martin, who has filled in nicely. And we'll see how Schott works into the lineup. He was outstanding last year at Brock.
Yeah, he was really good. I mean, he was good all season long, but he stepped up his game at the Baggataway. Trent losing in the finals, a great game against Western. One quick note that I will mention about this game is Travis Zabolt's 19 points this year as a midfielder. Look to see him play a bigger impact in this game here because of how strong Guelph's closed defenders are. Yeah. They're going to really key in on, Garrett Eddy as well, especially. They've got a really strong attack. Jeff Fernandez as well. So look to see guys at the midfield position, Mccullough as well too, but they're going to really try to attack from the mid position.
Nick Karam as well, number 9 for Trent. Actually, their leading scorer this season, although if you look at the numbers, he and Garrett Eddy had almost exactly opposite, with Eddy scoring a ton of goals and Karam scoring a lot of assists.
Yeah, those two there alongside Jeff Fernandez. It's kind of a three-headed monster, if you will. Yeah. But I do think the midfield position is going to be a big one in this game.
Trent controlling possession. There's a pass just wide of the net by Garrett Eddy. And you've got Cortland Blackarougeau stepping up. And there's a guy who could play a big role for them as well. Blackarougeau didn't play a huge role in the regular season. Got 15 points, including 11 goals. But he is a guy who's been playing for a long time. He's played some senior B, and he's got it right now. He's going to try and dodge down the alley. But he is D'd up, working his way through. Oh, tries a nice reverse whip shot. That one goes high and wide, but a great drive through a couple of defenders. Joshua Tuguri, number 10, trying to D him up, got a little bit of help from Jonah Boehm. I think it is Boehm, isn't it? I believe he says Boehm. That's what we're going to go with for now. Sorry, Joshua, if it is Boehm. Nick Finley taking his time as the Bolts comes out. Cole McWilliams coming off. This guy we haven't even mentioned yet, 99 for Trent, who scored some big goals for him.
Yeah. Finley, another guy that could be an X factor.
Oh,
obviously, Eddy has drawn the long stick from the midfield position pretty much the entire season. So those guys there are going to have an opportunity there to really create some offense.
But he's been playing attack mostly, though. I mean, last year he did play a lot of midi. This year he's been almost solely attack. And he is up in a midi spot right now, or at least a high spot, as Mickle circles behind the net.
And that's the thing. In championships games, you're going to have mismatches. You're going to be out of positions, and that's the type of player that Eddy really is. He can play from midfield. He can play attack. He's not going to hurt you anywhere that he plays.
Behind the back attempt by Travis Zabolt. That one is turned aside, though. We're also looking at an All-Canada honorable mention goaltender here in Hayden Walsh for Guelph, and he's going to have to be sharp. As we mentioned, all these offensive weapons for Trent. Adam Kitchen setting it behind, hands it off there to Mickle. Ball is on the floor, on the ground, scooped up there. Nice grab by Justin Martin, the All-Canadian, who, again, they're lucky he is here because his Buffalo Bandits camp doesn't start till next week. They are missing Liam Patton, and that is huge.
Massive.
Especially, you talked about having you get a pull on Garrett Eddy. Somebody's got to be facing a short stick defender, and Liam Patton is the best in the country at D-midi, short stick D-midi. And they are really going to miss him. He's out with the Calgary Roughnecks at camp. He was a second-round pick there. And I thought a steal in the draft, frankly, where he went.
Seriously. Yeah, he's a fantastic athlete. Saw him at the Minto Cup as well. He was a freak for that team out of Alberta last year, or sorry, this past season. He was great, and I expect to see him big things at the next level at some point in his career.
James Short coming out from behind the net and scores. Just spins off a check. And Guelph's first shot finds the back of the net.
No panic on this Guelph team. I mean, Trent's pretty much dominated the possession all game long, and even when Guelph has picked up possession, Trent has done a great job turning the ball over. So James Short's recognized, okay, we don't want to rush, but he did see an opportunity. He spins off his defender and just places that perfect spot. He's having himself a great playoff, 9 points in the last game, adding a goal there now.
Manigan comes up with another face-off win and again pushes the pace and draws a foul. We're going to have a slashing, or I believe it's a slashing penalty. Should be slashing.
Yeah, Joshua Martin's going to sit down.
You're going to say push from behind.
Yeah, you could have called a few things
Yeah.
on that there.
So Guelph 1 goal up. Now Trent's not going to panic. They were down 3 goals to Bishops last weekend in the playoff game in the fourth quarter and came back and tied that up, forced overtime. And interesting, we talked about all the weapons they've gotten. Lyman Beatty, who hadn't scored all season, got the overtime goal. Right now, though, it's Guelph pushing on the attack. And there's Short, the goal scorer at X. Comes out and a quick shot and a goal. That's Alex Simons, the St. Catharines native. He is a youngster, and he finds a low-to-low spot in the far corner.
Alex Simons rips a perfect shot that just blasts right by Austin Cairns. Not much of a chance on that one there, but yeah, like you mentioned, Simons having himself a very strong season, 34 points, 18 goals, 16 assists in 11 games. He became a real X factor on this young Guelph offense that really didn't have one player that took over. James Short did lead them in scoring, but Simons and Berger as well. Those 3 guys do have a bright future in Kufala lacrosse here.
Yeah, not a huge scoring team. I mean, Berger with the 25 goals clearly was the guy if there was one for them. But, I mean, Michael Cavanaugh, we saw him score a ton of goals last year at the Baggataway, number 33 over on the far side. He's got the ball now, and he is a real factor. Interesting, we haven't seen Ethan Schott on the field yet for Trent. This is his first time he's been cleared to play since the second game of the season for Trent. He broke his thumb. We saw him at the National Lacrosse League entry draft at the Combine. He had the cast on, so not like it was an injury you could hide.
No.
But he has been cleared. He is out on the field. We'll see if he gets out there. Right now, Berger throws it behind to Short, and Cavanaugh takes it on the far side. Guelph being patient, but we've seen they will take their shots when they get chances. And Trent's defense has been a little inconsistent, and there's another chance and another goal as Mitch Oglevy just walks through, and that is Mitch Oglevy. What a fantastic season that freshman has had with 18 goals in the regular season.
Yeah, another youngster for this Guelph team stepping up huge. He did have, like you said, big year, 29 points in his freshman Kufla season. But this Guelph team starting to roll. A couple of outside shots that have sunk. Nice shots, nice take. Sure, they're from outside, but not going to say that Austin Cairns should have stopped that one because it was a beautifully placed shot. We were down on the field as well. You were bouncing the ball.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for these goaltenders to read. It's not a true turf bounce. It just dies right away.
It's very dead. There's a lot of sand. It's a very new field, new stadium, so they've got a lot of the sand on and pellets to keep the turf weighed down, and it really wasn't bouncing much. And they get warm up, but, I mean, I think I would say every field I've been on over the last few years has been livelier than this one. There's a turnover. They're going to call offside on Trent, so Guelph will get it back with a 3-0 lead. And boy, as much as I said Trent's not going to panic, they've been down before. You don't want to let a Guelph team just run away from you because their defense is very strong, even without Liam Patton. The rest of that group, I mean, we talked a little bit about, Justin Martin. I think Nathan McKenzie, who's number 44 for them, is one of the unheralded defenders in this league.
Yeah, and the thing is, they do have some great defenders on their team, but it's the system that they play as well. They're so strong.
Yeah.
Even their defensive midfielders are very great as well. So I wouldn't say, they do have some great defenders there, but it is the type of defense, the hard-nosed defense that they do play.
Simon's driving down the far alley, goes right around the back. Johnny Lynch turns him back to the corner. Come out to Oglevy. Berger's turned aside. The ball's knocked down. There's Shot stripping the ball. Upset with himself that he couldn't get possession, but there was a loose ball foul, and it's going to be Trent possession. That's Ethan Shot making his first impact play of the tournament. It won't be his last.
No, it certainly won't. Like we've already mentioned, last year at the Baggataway had a real coming out party, really took over the game at some points. And if Trent wants to get back to the Baggataway Cup finals, there's no doubt that he's going to have to be an impact player for these guys.
Yeah, Trent did beat the Brock Badgers in the semifinals last year as Cole McWilliams takes that long lob pass to get things set up for Trent. And then Western, a great game in the final. And Manny Najjar, the goaltender, was outstanding. Cody Ward, Reed Reinhold, they've got so many weapons. We'll talk about that more because they're playing the second game today against the host Queen's University. And they don't have Cody Ward because he's off at Rochester Nighthawks camp. They don't have Reed Reinhold today. At least I talked to him yesterday. He said he would not be here because he's at Toronto Rock camp. He said he will be here for the rest of the weekend. I also heard that Latrell Harris will not be here for Brock, which is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. But I heard Brandon Slade will be, and they're both in Toronto Rock camp. So I'm not sure how that one's working out. Trent taking their time, circling around the outside for now. Nick Karam takes a poke from Jonah Bame. Goes to the net. That little backhand roll shot just goes a little bit wide. And you can see how he was bouncing that a bit, and it just rolled along that turf. So that'll be something for them to keep an eye on, and probably more of a factor for the goalies than the players. They can just take the shot and let it bounce as it will. There's McWilliams. There's a bouncer. It didn't have to skip far at all because it was in the net almost by the time it hit the turf, and Trent's on the board.
And there's that mismatch on midfield that we did talk about. Cole McWilliams recognizing he has a short stick. He takes him behind goal line extended, attacks from the back of the cage, and just simply no slide from Guelph at all that allows him to take that shot.
All right, just taking a look at the feed that you guys are watching, and it looks pretty nice. Great view of the stadium here. Things are looking good. We have a flag off the face-off as everybody was in banging around. And it's going to be Guelph possession. Looks like Ferguson took the penalty. So Mitch Oglevy will run out. A beautiful play. I'll tell you, this guy is quite a story because, he played in Peterborough, played Junior C, had a bit of Junior A time this year, or played all the year in Junior A. Played for St. Peter's Saints. Was a terrific player there. Played more midi there. He wasn't really an attack guy. Wasn't a real scorer. And he's not. Oh, there's a nice chance, but it's knocked away. It looked like Kavanaugh was going to get it. A great scoop there by Justin Leith. Leith played a huge role last week, just taking Sam Firth, the super frosh from Bishops, right out of the game. But Mitch Oglevy, not a prepossessing or not an imposing athletic figure. He's a shorter guy, doesn't look like he'd be the fastest guy, but boy, he starts running and he just keeps running. And he has a constant motor, a huge heart. Like, he is so tough and so determined to be an impact player. And he's making his way.
He certainly is. And that's the thing in these Canadian championships that we've seen in the past. There's so many, superstars in this league, but the teams are so well coached. The defenders are so good, and the systems are so good that usually we see those secondary scorers come out and be superstars on the weekend. Mm-hmm. And he's a player that might, if Trent goes all the way, you look down at the score sheet and he ends up having more points than some of the big guys on this team.
Trent with a great penalty kill on the clear. They were man down, and Austin Cairns just running around, creating space. It helps to have athleticism in your goalie.
It certainly does. It adds a completely different dynamic. And, of course, if you're a fan of box lacrosse, you're used to seeing, the big goalies, all padded up. But here in field lacrosse, you're essentially a third or fourth defender, depending on who you have on the field there. And
ball pops away from Garrett Eddy. Martin all over him, but Eddy does manage to get it. And that, talk about athleticism, Garrett Eddy, who seems to be playing up in a midi role today, is so quick, and he is a shooter. One of the top goal scorers in the league. And 36 this year. Sorry.
Playing midfield, but for most of the part, but they're still getting Justin Martin as their matchup. So
yeah,
maybe pulling out, creating more space for the attackers to kind of work down low.
There's Eddie with a shot that he loves, the low angle, and he can put those in. Missed on that one. It may have been tipped. I think it just missed the net. It looked like maybe it was touched by Walsh, but I think it was just a miss. But he will bury a couple of those a game.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned his athleticism. It's not just the speed and the shiftiness he has. It's just so fluid. It looks very effortless, which is deceiving as a defender. You don't know he's going at full speed until he hits you and it beats you. And usually the ball's finding its way in the back of the net. It's just very effortless looking, and we're going to get a chance to see it as he has a midfield matchup here.
He loves to dodge from out there on the wing or from GLE as well, but this time the stave is made, and Guelph heads back up the field. Easy clear there.
Hayden Walsh, a nice story this year, freshman transfer from I can't remember exactly the NCAA Division I program that he did come from, but went to the Hill Academy, came here to Guelph, and he's been a really, really special piece for this team, and he's going to play a big role heading forwards. We've seen so many good goaltenders come through the ranks with the Gryphons, and it just seems every time they graduate one goalie, another good one comes in.
Yeah. Well, they just had
Mccullough.
Mccullough was spectacular a couple of years ago. When Guelph went on their run of winning some back-to-back Baggataways there, Lalani was great, and they had so many veteran players with that group. Curtis Knight, and they had such depth with that team. Scott Johnston was playing with that team.
Ryan Serville was
Serville was
well.
a beast.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of turnover since then, but you can see every year they just keep being competitive. And like you said, all this youth and talent, they are going to be a building program going after Brock and Western in the West Division. Here comes a roll. Well, I thought there was going to be a shot from James Short, but he tried to pass it down instead, and I think he may have surprised Jackson Nishimura as well. Now, who did that go off? It was off of Guelph. Great effort by Nick Finley and Ethan Schott, two of the veterans on this club now. And Finley will make the smart, easy pass over to Cairns. Interesting decision to see who was going to be in net for Trent, as they've had Austin Cairns and Kyle Holton both playing a bunch this year. Holton did suffer their only 2 losses, but that's because he's the guy they trusted to play against McGill. So that's not a factor. I don't think that he lost those 2 games. My guess is they're going with Cairns in this, and if they get through here, the semifinal, we'll probably see Holton. They also do tend to do the switch at halftime a lot, which I always find interesting. That's very much an idiosyncratic field thing.
Yeah.
You talked, you mentioned box. We both watch a ton of box lacrosse as well as the field, and you just don't see that in box lacrosse a lot unless a guy is getting pulled for a reason. But Trent likes both their goalies, all 3 actually, with Liam Wynn as well. Trent taking their time on the far side. Cole McWilliams gets it back from Eddie. Eddie's going to slide back up high as McWilliams and he will trade positions. And Adam Kitchen going for a trot.
Great call there to try to get the switch on McWilliams. And that's just a veteran heads-up play by Justin Martin.
They've got Mark Wilson playing on Eddie. He's going to go in. There's a save by Walsh. But, boy, Trent loves that matchup every time. Karam lost his footing. Dive play. Great effort by McWilliams, and he wanted to get that ball back for Trent, but it actually bounced off of him. He did get it away from Guelph, but it bounced off him as he hit the turf.
Joshua Taguri going down there and limping a little bit. Looks like he's okay, and hopefully for this Gryphons team.
Long pass from Hayden Walsh, and he almost connected at the end of the quarter. They had just moments left, and he tried to get up to Michael Kavanaugh. And boy, Trent was a little asleep perhaps there, and they almost completed that long pass.
Yeah, that definitely would not be a way that you want to finish out a quarter, especially after controlling pretty much the first half of that quarter, and then you mentioned falling asleep. Don't want to say they fell asleep, but they certainly looked like they took the foot off the gas and allowed Guelph to take a 3-1 lead here. But then the momentum started shifting towards Trent. It looks like they're now getting their matchups that they like with Garrett Eddy. Guelph feeling a little more lackadaisical from up top, not always trying to get a pull to Eddy, which might hurt them. But we did see We did see Guelph eventually get a slide to him, and Eddie did force that shot a little bit. But when it is Garrett Eddie, it's not exactly a forced shot because, like you said, he can score pretty much anywhere on the field in the offensive end.
And the thing is, he can score on the outside shot because he can rip it, but he is great dodging inside. He's got a variety of moves he can use. And, if you're looking at Garrett Eddie or Cole McWilliams is a good player, but he had 7 goals this year. Leave a short stick on him all the time if it's a matter of him or Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue each way. I mean, at the same time, if you put a short stick, like we saw McWilliams go behind GLE from the X position and burn his short stick, I'm not saying keep him on the whole game, but if you do see an opportunity where if there is a midfielder behind GLE or at X and you have a chance to switch off a long stick there, maybe try to get a turnover, but it's something that you definitely don't want to be doing all game.
Yeah. And again, nothing against Cole McWilliams. He's a good player, and he will score. I mean, we saw him score the only goal for Trent. But the one thing I really think that is interesting here is, like you said, Guelph got the first 3 goals there, really taking advantage of their opportunities. They didn't create a ton of scoring chances. I think for the quarter, Trent had more good scoring chances.
Sure.
Trent had the momentum, like you said, for the last probably 14 minutes of that quarter. Trent was really in control, which if you're Guelph, you have to be a little worried about because you know that offense is going to click at some point. But Hayden Walsh is the equalizer so far in this game.
Yeah, Hayden Walsh has been fantastic in between the pipes, and he's been great all season long in his first year in Kufla lacrosse. So I anticipate he'll do the same. This Guelph team had the 3rd fewest amount of goals for in all of the West, I should say. And it was a lot to do with him and that stingy defense that they do have. And I think there was a couple of games where Brock really gave it to them. So it could really be even lower than it really is.
Long contested possession off the face-off there. Nobody able to get it. It looked like Justin Martin had it. Eventually, though, it was Trent tracking it down, and Johnny Lynch will hand it off to Nick Finley. Trent goes to the offense. They've got Dan Mccullough up at the top. Finley's just waiting for the substitutions to happen. Zabolts will give it off to Mickle. Finley working with Eddie on his side, and they've got Adam Kitchen back at the X. Haven't seen much of Jeff Fernandez, who's catching the pass right now. He is a big scorer for this team.
The thing with Fernandez is he's not going to create offense himself. No. He's not the most athletic player in the world. He's more of a
catch and shoot guy.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see him get a lot of his scoring opportunities off the extra man opportunity, or you'll see a guy like Eddie dodge and find him in the middle, and not taking anything away from him because he is probably one of the better catch and release shooters that is in this league.
Yeah, great finisher.
But he's not going to be one who's creating all that offense.
Zabolt's putting his shoulder down, trying to go through a couple of men, but he is stripped by Nathan McKenzie. And Guelph comes the other way, and Zabolt's maybe trying to do a little too much, or maybe waiting a bit too long. It looked like he should have seen the slide coming because he had a short pole on him, short stick on him, and then McKenzie came for the slide. That was the time for him to dish it off.
As a defender, you're taught, as soon as that player turns his shoulder and takes his eye off the play, that's when you slide. You slide right away. He was foaming at the mouth, Nathan McKenzie, when that happened there. It's every long pole's dream to get that, and it was a perfectly executed slide and double.
Yeah. Pat Mccrory, number 12 for Trent, picking up on Kavanaugh. He is, that might sound a little weird to you if you're a Kufla fan who's watched some Bagataways, because he starred with the Western Mustangs last year as they won.
Second Baggataway Cup in many years, in second year. So
he has transferred. He's doing teachers college at Trent,
yes.
And what an addition he's been.
Oh yeah,
that shot way high, and I think Trent's going to get this ball. No, not quite. Great hustle by Schott, though. I was asking Jeff McKinley about Schott before the game. I said, "Is he playing?" He said, "Yep, he's in." And I said, "Is he, is he going to be ready to go? Not having played since game 2?" And he said, "Oh yeah, he's in the best shape on our team. He's the fittest guy out there, and he's going to be a factor."
Yeah, I was talking to him at the draft, and he was obviously bummed out that he was missing some lacrosse here with Trent, but he was ecstatic to be drafted. But he basically was saying, he's like, with my hand here, I can't play, I can't really lift weights or anything.
Yeah.
So, but I've been still trying really hard.
Great strip
He's saying I was
by
trying-
Lyman Beatty, but it bounces right back. Well, putting some pressure on. Ball's on the ground. Pressure there coming from Curtis Romanchuk. Romanchuk with another great strip, but it bounces once again to Guelph. They're getting some breaks here. Mitch Oglevy comes up with it. That one's thrown back near center. Martin gets there first and just uses that long pole to tap it ahead, and it's grabbed by Berger.
Great play there. Just the little plays that sometimes get unnoticed. I mean, if he doesn't pump that ball back into his own end, there's a chance that Garrett Eddy's picking that up and has numbers going the other way.
You can hear Adam Kitchen, one of the Trent players, I believe, talking about the what they want their defenders to do out there. Oglevy going to the net, gets by a couple, shoots, big save by Kearns. After Oglevy went by a couple, we talked about how he doesn't look like he's going to be fast, and then he just gets where he needs to be.
Very deceptive. Good job there by Trent's defense to recognize maybe not to slide there. It's not really that dangerous of a pass, a shot. And you don't want to leave one of Guelph's deadly shooters naked alone on the crease. So a good job there to recognize that it wasn't really, that dangerous of a spot to send the slide. So let
deal with it
goalie
yourself.
take the
Let
shot.
him take that shot.
Exactly.
Trent has the ball up in the offensive zone, and they are moving it around. They'll get it up to McWilliams. Plays the hidden ball trick, but nobody thought he gave it to Cortland Blackarujo. Ben Heidecker, the short stick D on McWilliams.
Another really strong short stick D midi for Guelph. It seems like they have so many on their roster with Patton not even being here as well.
Guelph does have 3 All-Canadians and 3 honorable mentions on the roster. The All-Canadians, Mike Berger, of course, and Justin Martin, as we mentioned, and Liam Patton, who isn't here. Trent has 2 in Garrett Eddy and Johnny Leclerc, the LSM. Oh, what a shot! McWilliams. Maybe they should keep a pole on him as he comes out and bounces one 5-hole, and then that is just not a smart play. I believe that's Joshua Taguri, who just got in somebody's face after the goal, and Trent's going to score to pull within 1 and go straight to a man advantage.
I definitely think that's not the smartest play by Taguri, but it looked like a little bit of a dive by the Trent player as well. He barely touched him. But as you know, the official's going to see someone drop, and he's going to call that right away. Rarely do you see the unsportsmanlike for the dive with plays like that. But, Taguri, he's a veteran player on this team. He knows that he's got to be in the roster to defend some of these great midfielders. Example, the man who just scored his second goal of the game. So the Trent midfielder has said it off the top of the broadcast. They're going to play a huge role in this game and probably all tournament long.
Here's Eddy. He'll shoot from there. He does, but that one's well wide. Hasn't quite dialed in his shot, but as we said, he will, and expect to see at least a couple of goals from his stick before the end of the afternoon. Trent within a goal. They'd love to even it up on this degree penalty. There's Eddy. He's going to fire it off the post. He almost found it there. And there's Mickle down low. That's Fernandez. He goes well wide on the short angle shot, but Trent still has it.
And that's that shot we were talking about, Fernandez. He rarely misses from there. You can tell he's disappointed after missing that.
And that's a pass going out of bounds, so it will be Guelph possession. There's a loose ball just sitting there waiting. So it's grabbed by Heidecker. The penalty is over, and Guelph is back to full strength.
That's a massive kill for Guelph there.
Yeah.
A little bit self-inflicted for Trent. I wouldn't say that it was Guelph who really shut them down there. There was a a missed shot, and then an uncharacteristic turnover by Karam. So more or less Trent not capitalizing on a power play opportunity rather than the Guelph defense really shutting them down.
Short to Kavanaugh. Gets it up to Simons. Simons will take it back from Oglevy. Guelph can be very patient. They're the one team over the last, I've been calling the Baggataway Cup. This is my 5th time, and they're the one team that I've seen just hide it down behind the net for about 5 or 6 minutes. What a great strip by Johnny Lynch on the trail check, but Michael Cavanaugh is right there. Great setup of the save by Cairns. What a glorious chance for Mike Berger, the 25 goal scorer.
Yeah, Mike Berger was committed to Marquette, a Division I program. Instead, elected to come here to Guelph. He's a young player, like you've mentioned already. Played 2 seasons ago for the Western Ironheads in Junior B with myself, and then moved on to the Beaches last year in the junior A ranks. So a young player with a lot of potential to make some time out there.
Yeah, Trent taking the timeout.
Really good call for a timeout there, actually.
Yeah.
I think that came from Farthing, too. He understands long pole. Sometimes you get caught in a bad position, can't get out of it. So better off just use one of your timeouts, let your guys who are on the field to handle the ball get there. So,
yeah,
smart call by
Justin Leaf, number 6, had the ball for Trent. Nick Finley was trying to give him an outlet, but a great job defensively by Guelph to not give him that opportunity and force them to take the timeout, which of course means they don't have it later in the half. But nice call, as you mentioned, Mark Farthing, part of a great coaching staff here. There's so many terrific coaches in this league. I mean, Jeff McKinley, maybe not a name a lot of people know, but he is the head coach for Trent, and he just does a fantastic job with this program. He was on the local radio station this morning, recorded it last night, he was talking about, the future of the program. He said, they love the players they've got here now. They had a lot of guys graduate, but they had a lot of guys to step into roles, and they've got a lot of young players coming. The recruiting's going well. They've got their first BC commit coming for next year. And a lot of guys who want to come and be part of this Trent program. It's renaissance, because when Trent got a team about a dozen years ago, 10, 11 years ago, they had guys like Josh Wasson, and they had some terrific players who'd played in the NLL, but it was more guys who'd kind of just been around, and now they're developing their own program, and McKinley has done a great job of that. Mark Farthing, the more you see him coach, and he is a funny guy. When you hang around with him, it's hard to imagine him being particularly serious, because he's such a funny guy. And I mean, last year, or a couple of years ago, he got on the bus to head up to the Baggataway Cup wearing a onesie.
That's just far.
That's Farthing. But he is a terrific coach, and when you hear him coach his guys, he is incessantly positive and an incredibly smart lacrosse player and coach. Yeah,
I mean, he's kind of got best of both worlds. He's a player's coach. Yeah. The kids love him, but then at the same time, he's a brilliant coach as well. Knows the game really well. Knows how to get out the most out of his players.
Garrett Eddy can't take the pass. It bounces away. Great job, almost by Adam Kitchen. I thought he was in. And flicked that back, and he thought so too. He's just saying, "Sir, I think I had that."
Tough to say with us being up here, the official being right on the turf there, but nonetheless, a very valiant effort, a good hustle play. But Guelph's going to take the ball here, and one thing that they do really well is that clear. Very slow and methodical, but then when they do get a chance to get it to their midfielders, they're so athletic, they just kind of rip up the floor.
Yeah, they don't need a whole lot of space to get up, and they got it to Alex Simons there, and the young St. Kitts native just takes off with it, and he's got the ball again. He's watched there by Lyman Beatty, and again, Beatty playing a D-midi role as he is here, and he knocks Simons down. Simons pops back up. Penalty coming. Going to give him a 1 minute for the slash. And if you're mostly a box person, you're checking out this field thing. Field lacrosse is a great game, but it is quite different. Besides, the number of players, the size of the field, of course, the goalies, the size of the nets, but just the way you're allowed to play. I can't imagine that being called a slash in a box game.
No, definitely not. That's the big thing in field lacrosse. I mean, you'll see some heavy hacks, but if it's controlled, if it's on the hand or on the stick.
Oh, what a rip from the outside. Mike Berger absolutely laces that one home, and Guelph grabs their timeout immediately. That's one other factor. The time, it does run. It's a running clock, so if you're not familiar with that, you'll often see this where a team scores on the power play and then immediately calls timeout, because that does stop the clock and allows them to still be on the power play when play resumes.
There's that boom and shot by Mike Berger.
Yeah.
Talked about him, the freshman impact player coming on campus here in the fall and really becoming a go-to player for this offense. He still has 4 or 5 years left of eligibility. So I imagine he's going to be tearing up Kufla lacrosse for a very, very long time. He's actually interesting story as well. I mentioned him. He's not from your typical lacrosse hotbed as well, playing his minor lacrosse in Uxbridge. So a fairly upstart program there, up in Uxbridge, and then found his way playing junior, like I said, with the Ironheads, and then moved on to the Beaches this year, where he had a pretty solid season. So I believe he still has 2 more years left of junior eligibility. I do think, though, he's a much better field lacrosse player. The way his skill set and his athleticism and that outside shot does a really good job.
Big face-off here between Mannigan and Ferguson, and they're really waiting to make sure everyone's out. Guelph was a little slow getting out from the timeout, but Ferguson looks like he's going to get it. It's actually swooping in as Ethan shot, and he's going for a run. He is surrounded and gets out. There's the athleticism. There's what shot brings to this Trent team, and he's going to try and get it to a short stick player, and does so. What a great play by Shot. Then Fernandez, the pass across to Karam, and Trent's going to have to get things settled. And, one player can make such a big difference. Shot back there gives them a group of Mccrory, Shot, and Justin Leith they're very comfortable with. Again, they don't mind Joshua Martin. They've got some guys who can play, but that trio is almost as good as any in Kufla. Now, you got to look at Brock with Josh Harris, Latrell Harris, and Parker Bale.
Yeah,
maybe the best.
I think they would be my vote for the best, but these guys not too far behind it. Yeah. And a good thing with the trio here as well is they have the ability to all 3 of them to go up and play LSM if needed. If there's a matchup that they do like, all 3 of them are very quick and speedy. So they have an opportunity, whereas, if there isn't a matchup that they don't like on the midfield position, if there's a team that's heavy midfields, which you could see maybe against a McGill.
Here's a drive to the net. That shot doesn't get through from Blackarouge. He's knocked down from behind. I think Trent may wind up with possession here. Nope, they're going to say Guelph ball. Hard to say. They're going to force them to go back to the GLE. Hard to see from up here what that was. Again, the ref right in position, standing on top of it, could see what was happening. But just the way Blackarouge took the shot and then was knocked down from behind, it looked like they might get it back.
Yeah, I thought there may have been a call there, but...
Nice pass ahead to Martin. That was Robert Stockton getting him the ball, and then Martin's going to run back in the defensive zone. Berger had stayed back for him. Sorry, that was actually Heidecker had stayed back and is now going up in a O-midi role. Talked about him as a D-midi, and he is very good, but boy, he can play up in the offensive zone. Only a couple goals this year, 5 assists, but he doesn't hurt you when he's moving the ball out there. Guelph slowing things down a bit. They've got the 4-2 lead. I'm Stephen Stamp with Pat Gregoire. This is the Baggataway Cup. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. Please share it on all your social media. Let everyone know where we are. They can watch these great productions from Queen's TV. Pass up top, hauled in by Jackson Nishimura. He's going to go for a bit of a run. Watched there by Josh Miller. Another role player for Trent here in that D-midi position has been doing a good job. Short hands it off to Nishimura. And Guelph. Looked like they were setting up a bit of a stack, but now they're just going to spread across. Three wide. Liam Corbett. Haven't seen a whole lot of Corbett. He was a big role, played a big role for them over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, Corbett, a little quieter of a year, 15 goals, 9 assists. Still a strong season, but I believe in 2015 he had 27 points, so the highest. So,
and he gets a shot off there. It's going to be Trent possession as Austin Cairns just zipped back. Interesting, because Cairns only took about 3 steps, but was aware enough that the ball was getting out over the line quickly. He only had to take those 2 or 3 steps and was able to go back. But then, just falling, losing the ball, was Miller. Big hit by Blackarouge. He is just clearing guys out. You do have that 7-foot area. And then shot chops down on Jonah Bame. And that may have stepped over the line as Trent getting very physical. And eventually, just a bit too much, you'll lead Guelph possession.
You know, we talked about Farthing earlier and the type of coach he is. You talk about physicality. That's the type of lacrosse that he likes to play. And I've had conversations with him before, and he says, you know what, I don't mind the odd penalty here and there to establish, you know, physicality and saying that, you know, our defense is going to play hard-nosed. He says usually sometimes, you know, first couple possessions of the game, if one of his defenders take a penalty, it's fine. We'll kill it off, guys. But we want to establish that we are going to be more physical than any other team that's going to be playing against us, not just in the playoffs, all season long.
Guelph taking their time, moving it around the outside. Shorts pass gets away, but it is tracked down by Berger. He's got Finley on him. Gets away, shoots, big save by Cairns. Finley may have affected the shot, but it looked like Berger got pretty open. But again, straight on, Cairns able to see it right out of the stick.
Cairns looking like he's starting to see the ball a lot better from the start of the game. Of course, those two outside shots in the first. Turnover here.
That's just a bad decision to try and make that pass. And Finley's working hard to try and get it back. And they do get the ball down on the ground, but it's scooped up once again. That's Simons.
Smart play to settle the ball instead of forcing it.
And that you just got to value possession. We're 3.5 minutes from the end of the half, and Trent trailing 4-2. Not a time to panic, and try to force things in the offensive zone. But they also don't have to panic on the clear. I mean, they can get the ball up the field. Guelph will ride. They'll ride hard. Oh, great job by Mccrory, and he just kicks it across. We're scooped up there by Josh Miller. What a terrific play. That's why Pat Mccrory is a multi-time All-Canadian.
Such a good defender. That's so powerful and strong. Not the biggest guy ever, but I mean, sometimes he gives you that little push on the stick or a hack and a whack, and you can really feel it. We could definitely hear it from here, but it's like I said, it was controlled completely on that hand. And that's a clean hack. Sometimes you wonder, how is that not a slash? Well, it was controlled. That's the thing you'll hear the refs say all the time. Keep it in control.
There's Garrett Eddy. Got Martin watching him. Throws it back to Kitchen. Gets it back from him. Nick Karam picks himself up and dusts himself off and has a quick look at the ref to say, hey, might that have been a penalty on Ross Mccullough? Number 51 knocking him down. But again, it was a controlled push. It was a good cross-check. Garrett Eddy, not a great shot selection, really. And Guelph's going to head back up the other way. Guelph pushing the pace. They've got some trouble. Nice slide by Trent, forcing Guelph to keep the ball moving, and a big save by Cairns as Corbett still came open. Some great rotation defense by Trent on the transition chance by Guelph to limit where that opportunity came from, and Cairns was able to see it.
Cairns, like I said, he's starting to be dialed in here, but you're right, that rotation there is perfectly on point, and that just speaks to the athleticism those defenders truly do have.
Because you saw the defender have to come up high on the man carrying the ball and then have to get his defender from low, his safety defender coming over. Here, Guelph trying again and again. They get out. That time actually kind of overrunning the play was Johnny Lynch, and a great chance for Guelph.
I was going to say, that time they had a perfect rotation, but it just kept going.
Yeah. Corbett trying to get some chances. He's having opportunities, but again, a great slide there. Justin Leith getting on him. You see Trent playing a very different defense than they did last week. That shot's going to be Guelph possession once again. And Mccrory has to get back because he was running out, but he's quick enough to get back there. But last week we mentioned that Justin Leith was isolated on Sam Firth. They just wanted to take him out and let the other guys play 5-on-5, and it worked fairly well for them. That's a pass, so if it gets out, it will be Trent possession. Nice job by Short to try and get it, and they're going to say, Johnny Lynch, maybe a little overzealous. Timeout taken by Guelph.
While we do have a timeout here, I want to give a shout-out to Mike Brand, watching this all the way from San Antonio, Texas. So, born and raised in Buffalo, New York. A great guy for lacrosse, not just in the Western New York area, but he's moved down to to Texas, growing the game down there, which, I mean, you know firsthand is starting to really boom down there. But just saw that he's tuned in right now and want to give him a big shout-out for tuning in. So if you are watching, tweet us. Let us know where you're watching the game from. I know it's the Canadian University Championships, but I'm sure there's people from all over the continent watching.
Yeah, all over the world. I don't have the... oh, you've got it set up so you've got it along the sides there. You got the comments.
Yeah, actually, Mike asking how many of these guys played NCAA before. So I don't know the exact number, but there are guys that have transferred. For example, I know Adam Perrone, who's not here this weekend, and Jeff Fernandez both transferred from Detroit Mercy. Garrett Eddy, a grad transfer from RIT. So there are some guys that do transfer from the NCAA, or they go for a post-grad, and they can play pretty much as long as they're enrolled at school. It's not, your 4 years of eligibility like you see at the NCAA. So a lot of these guys have played in the NCAA, and then there's other guys who, stay home and play good ball up here, up north.
And just in case you were wondering, the correct pronunciation, it's Jonah Beam.
Beam, okay.
Shout out to Tom Bileski for letting us know that one. We did check on Manigan before the game. We didn't have time to check everybody. There's a lot going on getting ready for these games to get started. But thanks to Tom. And Guelph taking time with possession. Berger over on the near sideline here. Gets some space. Gets away from Johnny Leclerc, the All-Canadian LSM. And, we mentioned the D with Schott, Leith, and Mccrory.
Great hustle play there.
That is
unbelievable.
Excellent work by Alex Simons. Oh, it almost leads to a goal as Ogilvy's shot is corralled by Cairns just before the half, and he takes a shot the length of the field. And we will go to halftime with the score Guelph 4, Trent 2. And, Trent, I think, came in as the favorites in this, or, defending finalists at the Baggataway Cup. Guelph, really, the difference has been those 3 goals early on 3 shots.
Yeah, it really has. It was that quick little run, and, it's so cliche, but lacrosse is a game of runs, but we really have only seen that one run so far. Both goaltenders playing very strong as well, especially Austin Cairns in that second half of that second quarter.
Yeah.
He made a couple of huge saves, including that last one there. That is, massive. If Guelph goes in and buries that, goes up 5-2 heading in, it's a much different vibe heading over to the sidelines right now.
We're going to take a break for the rest of the half. We'll have some interesting little player features I think we're going to slide in. But we will be back in about 9 minutes with the second half of Trent versus Brock versus Guelph. Sorry, and remember, we will have at 7 p.m. live Western and Queens, the home team. That should be a fun one. I'm Stephen Stamp with Pat Gregoire. We'll be back for the second half. underway in the second half. They didn't even wait for halftime to finish. We were just getting ready to put our mics up, and boom, the face-off was blown in, and Guelph had an immediate scoring chance.
Another face-off won by Manigan. He's been so sharp all game long. I think losing one draw so far. But that's 3 times that he's won the draws, taking it directly to the net or at least trying to feed it off to one of his other players. We saw a turnover on one. He drew a penalty on another, and that one he almost scored. So,
yeah. Be interesting to see how that plays out because, I mean, Travis Ferguson has been a weapon for Trent, getting the ball for his teammates and creating some things himself. But so far, Guelph has really had control of the face-off spot.
We saw Manigan pretty much dominate last year at the...
Oh, there's a goal as that possession leads to a second of the game for Alex Simons. You talked about the young talent on this Guelph team, and boy, Simons was a very high pick in Junior A because of that talent that he's got, and you can see the little twister putting it home.
Yeah, perfect finish, but that pass there, perfectly feathered in, and Simons has to catch it and bang that one home before the slide comes, and it does come, but it's after it's in between the net, and you'll talk to offensive players all the time. They say 100%. They'll take that hit if that ball's going to go in.
Ferguson gets the ball, pops it to himself. That's a big face-off win and a beauty for Ferguson, who'll slow things down, wait for his offense to get it. He's going to leave it for one of the guys. No, he was going to pass to Dan Mickle. Mickle picked up immediately by Wilson. Oh, and Ferguson just leaves it there, and it looked like it was a 50-50 ball, but, of course, Short had to stop at the center line. He couldn't go over, and Travis DeBoltz just picked it up, but it looked scary for a moment.
Yeah.
It's a pretty smart play by Ferguson to recognize the situation. That one's going to roll dangerously close to midfield, but only Ethan Schott would have been able to reach it without going over center. So Finley picks it up, no problem. And Garrett Eddy has it down low. We'll see if they play Eddy down low more. That's something actually last year they did at the Baggataway Cup, where he'd played midfield most of the year, moved him to attack for the finals, for the championship weekend, and he was just a wrecking ball down there. Here's veteran Dan Mickle. Spent his summer playing for the Nanaimo Timbermen in the Western Lacrosse Association. Just avoids the crease to Fernandez. Great shot for Fernandez. You talked about the catch and release, and that is what he does best. That's a perfect placement.
Couldn't have put that ball any better, and we talked about the bounce, how it's a tricky bounce. Doesn't matter what field surface you're playing on. A shot like that is going to find the back of the cage. I mentioned it before. If Trent wants to go deep in the Baggataway playoffs this year, he is going to have to be a big part. He has to put the ball in the net because that's truly what he is. He's a goal scorer, and that's a goal scorer's goal right there.
Ferguson battling hard to go after this one. He's going to get possession after they say Manigan grabbed on. And it's a white ball and the Excalibur putting some pressure on here. They've got a goal to get back within 2. It's 5-3. I'm Stephen Stamp with Pat Gregoire. Thanks for being with us on this Queens TV presentation of the Baggataway Cup. We're excited to be here in gorgeous Richardson Stadium. Nick Karam just kind of puts the arm out and says, go ahead, Mark Wilson, give me a bit of a whack. I'll continue trotting on. And Trent slowing things down. Black Arujo, you really saw the bounce or lack of it on that pass as it was about a 4-hopper to get out to Black Arujo. It's just a very dead turf. It's good. It's very consistent. You're not going to complain about it. It is a little different, though, to a lot of the turfs they play on. Eddie lets it fly, save. Braden Walsh. Sorry, it is Hayden Walsh. That pass may have been forced. Great play by Schott to tap it ahead to Eddie. He gets it, but has the ball knocked out of his stick. Joshua Taguri. But Eddie, with that athleticism, gets it to Karam. Karam's trying to drive through to Black Arujo, and that bouncer kind of fooled Walsh. And they're going to somehow call that Guelph ball. And that one, Cole McWilliams was at least 2 steps past any Guelph player when that ball went out of play.
I was actually looking down at the stat sheet there, so I didn't even get to see it. But
yeah, and to be fair, I grew up in Peterborough. I'm an alumnus of Trent University, so maybe I was just seeing it through green eyes there. But I do try and be as neutral as possible, and I think basically pretty much every call has been right on the money so far in the game. Again, the one Guelph call where McWilliams may have dived a little.
Yeah.
Emphasized the play, but you might argue. But that one to me was the first really missed call where I thought McWilliams was literally 2 steps clear of any Guelph player. And it almost looked like the ref just had his back to him and didn't realize he was there. It does kind of underline how many of the calls they get right when you see one that stands out as being wrong and realize it's the first one you've really been able to argue.
Yeah. You know what? There's a great crew here of all the officials here, even some of the other officials as well who will be reffing later on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So it should be a great officiated tournament.
You know the coaches won't all agree with everything.
Absolutely they won't. Whoever wins, they'll say, "Oh yeah,
they were great.
It was a great officiated weekend."
Simons watched by Leclerc up high.
This is one thing if you're Guelph. I mean, it's a 5-3 lead, just a 2-goal lead, but at the same time, you do want to chew up as much clock as possible, but you don't want to just go into shutdown mode just quite yet.
Yeah, it's balance, right? You got to, like you said, eat time. Don't throw the ball away to Ethan Schott. He's got numbers using his speed. I think he's going to have one over on the right side. There it is. And the shot in the goal. Garrett Eddy. We told you you'd put one in. And, boy, what a huge mistake in the offensive zone by Guelph. And Trent capitalizes, and that's why they're so excited to have Ethan Schott back.
Yeah, that's the difference maker. That's the type of player he is. Just a beautiful anticipation of that pass, picking it off. Of course, it was telegraphed pretty obviously, but Schott picked it up, went all the way down, waited perfectly, dips that off to Garrett Eddy. And Eddy, there was zero chance he was missing that. He put his entire body into that. There was a better chance that it was going to go through the net than miss.
Ferguson takes a look up to see who's around. He and Mannigan really tied up. Ferguson pulls it back through his feet. Everyone going after it. Thought for a second Ross Mccullough was going to get it. Eventually is Guelph ball. And the thing with Schott on that play, it really looked like he baited the play because he took one step back towards his net, but he didn't cross his feet. He just widened his stance and basically jammed that foot into the ground so that he could change directions again as soon as the pass was made. That was just an impeccable and subtle play. Guelph is going to try and turn it around. Last couple goals for Trent after it had been a 5-2 lead. Nice strip there by Mccrory, and he pulls it back between his legs to Cairns. Trent has the possession again. Johnny Leclerc running with the ball. There's the hard ride. Great work by Simons. Not just an offensive player, but he can't get it back, and he's going to head off and get a D-midi out there. Leclerc goes high to catch that. He can play in the offensive zone with that long pole. There are times they just tell him to go ahead and stay. Timeout Trent. With 12:14 to go here, it's 5-4 in favor of Guelph. We're talking at the half, and I was saying it felt the way things were going, like even though they were down by a couple, Trent was going to win this game. And then Guelph comes out and gets that goal, but the momentum shifting back to Trent. And for Guelph, again, they've got to keep attacking, and they haven't much in the second half.
No, they do run that methodical offense where they wait for their chances, but they do take it. But it's got to be, you got to pick your poison. Making that skip pass there where Ethan Schott's, foaming at the mouth to pick that off. That's probably not your best play to, make an attempt to try to get some offensive going. But like you said, it's you got to go to the net. Obviously, you want to chew up as much clock as possible, but you still have to make an attempt, and that you have to continue to play like the way that you play that gave you this lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they were not forcing it. They were taking chances when they were there.
Yeah.
They were pushing the ball in, and they were moving the ball patiently. But it seemed more in the first half like they were trying to have something come out of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas here, they just don't seem like they've. Maybe Trent's just done a better job of taking away the secondary opportunities and not letting Guelph see lanes to the net. But Guelph's going to want to find something here. And
yeah, I mean, for the most part, Guelph's chances, their goals, I should say, have come off the first chance. It hasn't really been, a bang play where you have to force a couple of slides from Trent's defense. They've been power play opportunities. There have been a couple fast breaks, and then we saw one goal there from behind GLE from X with Oglevy taking advantage of a short stick defender. So that's one thing that Trent is. I talked about how athletic their defenders are, but they are systemly so sound. The rotations are always on point, and that has a lot to do not with just because how quick they are to get to their slides, but also Mark Farthing, their defender, their defensive coordinator, I should say. Yeah, no question. I mean, we talked about it again. Very funny guy, just a real player's coach, but boy, he knows systems. He understands, and he is so clear. Like, it's fun to listen to him talk to his defenders because he's so clear at getting his points across. Here comes Nick Finley driving to the net, drops it off to Eddie, who kind of shovels it over. They move it around quickly. Dan Mccullough hasn't played a huge role in this game. Expect him to do something big for Trent this weekend if they are going to have another run at a championship. There's the Bolts. He's going to try and use this matchup against a much smaller defender. Takes a shot. I think Trent's a little lucky to get that one back. I didn't really like that selection. Kitchen was down deep, but there wasn't a whole lot on it. The Bolts just maybe saw an opening, but I didn't see it. Of course, it went in. We'd be saying it's a great shot. So, to be fair. Mccullough over on the far side. Garrett Eddy. I think a couple of Trent fans that thought Eddie may have been abused by his defender there. Switches hands. Gets the shot off. Trent will get it back as Mccullough is deep. Nearing the midway point here in the third quarter. 5-4 still for Guelph. Here's that short stick on short stick matchup from X.
Wilson does a nice job sticking with Mccullough. Almost got a bit of a hold on him. He kind of clamped. For a second, it looked like he was grabbing him even while his hand was on his stick. He was kind of grabbing hold of the jersey, but not enough of a tug to draw a penalty, so that's good defense if you don't get caught.
Yep. Robert Stockton doing a good job as well, pressing out on Fernandez, not allowing any adjacent pass coming there. Last thing you want to do is work so hard to keep the ball in the short stick.
Mccullough's shot well wide, and it's close, and it is Walsh getting possession. Zabolts, he was the deep man. He'd slid up a little high, and Walsh, much like Cairns in the first half, just that first two quick steps gets them the ball.
Yeah, Walsh, he's, that 5-tool goalie, that you really look for. He's athletic. He's pretty big. He's got a good stick. He can move the ball well, and he's a ball stopper. Yeah. He's a true field lacrosse goalie. You see sometimes the goalies that are just there to, make a save. He's so positionally sound. Rarely makes the save with his body because he's got such a quick stick and great reactions.
And quick feet, and very aware there. He saw that immediately that shot was going wide.
The ball was barely even past him before he started.
And he's already running back there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is knowing where that ball is going. Here's a drive, trying to change directions. Is Oglevy? Oh, and he gets it out. What a shot! The rip by James Short goes mid to high. And Guelph has responded just the way they need to. And that's some great creation by Oglevy, too.
Yeah, that all starts with Oglevy recognizing he has the short stick defender, takes him down behind the net, drives. It's more of a dummy dodge, not really making an attempt to take it to the cage, but just creates enough separation of Short's defender to pop out just a little bit. And Short doesn't have much space or time to shoot that ball, but he just shows how good of a goal scorer he is there, putting that up top.
Hopefully everyone's gotten through it. I see a note from Spencer Tangway asking where the broadcast is. It's up. We've got lots of people watching, Spencer, so hopefully you're finding it. Pat, if you have a chance to respond to him, you can just let him know. It's up there. Just keep looking. Should be right at the top. Meanwhile, Trent has possession. Hitting in their own end for the moment. They're just taking their time. Pat Mccrory has the stick resting on his shoulder. Trent in no rush. Wonder if we're going to be seeing Gut Salinas coming in. The freshman wearing number 25. Going for a bit of a trot up and down the sidelines, trying to get warm. It is a beautiful day, but it's November. It's cooling off a little, and will be cooler tonight when we have the second quarterfinal of the day. Oh, what a stop. Great ride by Liam Corbett, but Trent does manage to get the ball back as Cairns goes all the way up over center to eventually get it to Cole McWilliams. But 7 o'clock, we'll have Western and Queens, the heavily favored Mustangs, the defending champions. But Queens is a good, solid club. I'll tell you, their opposing coaches have pointed out their record does not indicate how good they are. And they're playing at home. We should have a good crowd tonight. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, and they're a team that very strong defensively, play their system really well. They don't have one or two offensive players that blow you away with offense. Chris Bouchy's their leading scorer, but it's more of a score by committee, score by the offense as a unit, not necessarily one guy taking over a game. Mind you, he does have the ability to take over a game, but that's not the style that they play. They grind out games, they win with their defense, and put enough in the net to come out with a victory.
McWilliams looking for his hat trick if he can get a chance here. I don't think they're going to give it to him. Nice defense there. That was Ben Heidecker once again. Boy, he's so effective.
Yep.
Such great footwork. They're going to go behind the net to Cortland Arujo. He's going to give himself some room to start a dodge. Try to drive in onto Gurry. Spins inside. Behind the back, misses. Trent will get it back with McWilliams behind the net. That was a good opportunity for Black Arujo, but just couldn't quite find his range. He's another guy. He only had, we're on the Baggataway. He did have a goal last week for them.
Flag coming up.
McWilliams, swim move. That nice save there by Walsh on the backhand whip shot by McWilliams, who's going to come off for the man-up unit.
So Ross Mccullough, he's a guy that likes to play a little chippy away from the ball. We saw him already a couple times knock down some Trent players. This time he does get caught for it. Just a 30-second infraction here. But Trent, the way that they play offense, they can score quickly once they find their opportunity.
Kitchen to Fernandez. Karam gets it to Eddie, and that is the second. He has scored basically 3 goals every game he's played this year, I think. He's averaged exactly 3 goals a game, and in most of them has exactly 3. There's his second. You just cannot stop him for a whole game.
No, you can't, and that's great ball movement, gets the rotation for Guelph down. It's so tricky, too, because you have a guy like Karam out there. He's the threat to score out there, but he just dishes that off to Eddie. Eddie, winds up, lets it go, but before that slide can come. That's the thing with field lacrosse. I mean, the extra man opportunity, you almost have to score because there's so much time and space out there.
Big win for Manigan. Gets the ball over to Taguri, who's going for a run. He's going to circle back out. And we talked earlier about the polar opposites in their numbers. Eddie, in 12 regular season games, 36 goals, 11 assists. Karam, 16 goals and 33 assists. So they really are. But, I mean, still, Karam had 16 goals. You've got to respect him. And as they rotated out to him, he just put it exactly where Garrett Eddy wanted that ball to shoot. It looks so simple when you make that pass about 5 or 6 feet, but it's not that easy to have it in the exact right spot at the exact right velocity and loft. And that's a great play. Berger over to Kavanaugh. Berger looked like he thought he wanted to get the shot off, but Trent was right out on him. Patrick Mccrory getting way out high on D. And there's Ferguson playing some short stick D as he is out on Mitch Oglevy. You know Oglevy wants to beat the team from his hometown, and he almost got the goal to give him a 2-goal lead. Guelph, as that one bounced just wide. And he hammered that ball into the turf to get it bouncing up to the top corner.
Yeah, you really, really have to put something behind it like we talked about quite a bit now, that this turf, not the most bounce.
Ferguson on Oglevy. Tries the swing check. Oh, and a little change up there by Berger. Had Cairns fooled for a moment, but he was able to recover and grab it. And then the long pass ahead. Nice pass to Johnny Leclerc. There's Eddie. He's going to slow it down. And Nick Finley running out to midfield is just saying, yeah, let's take our time. No rush here. Under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Guelph leads 6-5. I'm Steven Stamp with Pat Gregoire. This is Baggataway Cup 2017 on Queens TV. Finley trying to fight his way through the short stick check, drops down low to high, and absolutely lasers one just a little bit wide. Had to Gurry on him, and Finley's going to like that matchup. He is a long, lean fellow, but Nick Finley was in junior A 2 years ago, wasn't the most impressive guy. There's a shot by Eddie, a goal! Hat-trick, Garrett Eddie! We're not through the third quarter yet, and he is absolutely lighting it up now.
I've seen him score a couple from the alley on the side on the power play, and then there we see use his athleticism behind GLE, dodges from X, just a little spin around a question mark dodge and rips that one home to tie this game up at 6.
Trent with all kinds of momentum, and you can see their coaches, Farthing we mentioned, and Josh Bean is there, and Jeff McKinley. These guys are all like, stay calm, play our game. Yep, things are going well, but we've got to keep doing it. You can't just think it's over now. We've tied up at 6 into the final minute and a half here of the third quarter, and Ethan Schott comes up with the ball. What a game this kid's having. He is thrilled to be back on lacrosse field. Last weekend I asked Jeff McKinley after the Bishops game, after Trent won in overtime, on a goal by Lyman Beatty, who had not scored a goal all regular season, and he scored the only goal of overtime. I asked McKinley if Ethan Schott would be playing next week, and he said, there's a shot that Schott will be playing. He isn't cleared yet. We're hoping this week, and what a difference he's made. I told Mark Farthing that before the game that I said, honestly, without Schott, I don't think you win this tournament. With him, I think you've got a chance. And he said, I don't know. I think we might be able to, but they know how valuable this guy is.
Definitely puts him over the edge to be not just a contender, but one of the top teams here.
Yeah, they're a very good team, and again, it's mostly Joshua Martin that is the guy who would be in there otherwise, and he's done a good job for them as the stall comes on for Trent. And I don't mean to denigrate Joshua Martin at all. He's a good player, but Ethan Schott is at another level. He's an elite long pole in this league. Trent taking all kinds of time. McWilliams just standing down in the corner. They like to give him the ball and let him just run around sometimes. He's trying to get by Wilson. Passes up top. Chance for Kitchen. Oh, nice stick save. Who's going to get the ball? Oh, it's Travis Zabolt just beating Hayden Walsh. And again, the referee's right in position. From up here, I thought Walsh had that one. So maybe that balances it out. Trent did get the ball, though, and for a last chance in the quarter, they can't take advantage. But we will go to the final 20 minutes where we were when this all started, all tied up.
Yeah, it's been a back-and-forth affair. We've seen teams with tons of momentum looking like they've controlled the game. Well, right now the momentum definitely shifting with Trent. But a good job by Guelph to make sure that they end this quarter 6-6 because Trent takes a lead there heading to the fourth. It's a definite different vibe as both teams head to the sideline. But just a quick note there.
Yep.
Great job there by Justin Martin to knock down that pass. Garrett Eddy was so close to being open. He just created enough separation to get open, but Martin kind of has that little trail check and just knocks the stick right out of Eddie's hand as the ball comes. And we've seen Eddie. He's heating up 3 goals already today, so he's got a quarter left to go. And I think if Trent's going to pick up a W here, there's something tells me that he's probably not done yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You can see both teams gathering around their coaches and preparing for what's to come. And, Guelph has come into this tournament before as underdogs. Both times, back-to-back years winning Baggataway Cups as third seeds out of the West behind Western and Brock, or Brock and Western in one order or the other. So, I think both times it was Western as the first seed at that point. But
it's just it's a different vibe though. For some reason, whatever it may be, those years, Guelph. You look at the roster; they had so much talent, but in the regular season, they just couldn't put it together. By put it together, all those teams were so strong. If you had 3 losses, you were pretty much the third straight or third seed there. But they always found ways to start playing their best lacrosse when they needed the most, and that was, heading into Baggataway Cup. This here, though, it does really feel more like a true underdog story because the young players like, Mike Berger, Alex Simons, those guys leading the way. and you don't really have that one or two veteran, fourth or fifth year offensive players like they have had in the past.
Right, with the Servilles and Knights.
Exactly.
And
Critch.
Ben Van Galen,
Yeah.
Jordan Critch.
Critch, yeah.
Boy, Ben Van Galen, I remember it was one up in at McGill, when Baggataway was at McGill in 2013. And I don't think I've ever seen an LSM have a better tournament than Ben Van Galen having that one. He was just dominant. He was taking face-offs. He was playing D. He was running the ball up. We have a big face-off battle here. Possession so important. And it's Taguri, who comes out with it. And again, Guelph immediately, we talked about their patience, but they are always looking to push the advantage when they get possession off the face-off. Taguri will leave it there. And Mike Berger has control of the ball. He's got Martin out on him. Moving it around the top. Berger down to short. Simon's going for a run. Gets by Lynch, gets by a shot, then throws it back the other way. Great misdirection play. The bounce shot just a little bit high. Guelph will maintain possession. That was a great chance for Berger, and he just missed it. Leith with lots of pressure on short here. Simons was down in the middle of the field, popped up, and it took a while for someone to pick him up, but Trent is on him now. Good defensive shift by Trent, but Guelph is moving the ball, moving their feet. They're going to keep trying to produce something. Again, they will be very patient. Oglevy. Slide is there from Schott, and then Schott gets back. Great rotation, the block with the legs by Johnny Lynch. He's a little slow getting up. We'll see if they go after him. That one misses the net. Guelph will retain possession. Lynch is definitely limping.
You can hear the Guelph sideline. Go for him. You want it's a little bit of gamesmanship, but I mean, if there's an advantage in a tie game, you're going to try to take it.
Oh yeah, great play by Leith there to knock the ball loose and cause the turnover, and they never even got to get it to Alex Simons, who was covered by the limping Lynch. Lynch is running for all he's worth to the sideline, but you can see he's not very comfortable as he does it. That's just a great gritty shift by Johnny Lynch to block that shot after playing some really tough defense.
Great strip there, too, from Justin Leith.
Yeah.
I thought that had to have maybe been a deflection, but it was a clean strip to go across the field. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. Here's Patrick Mccrory. Speaking of impressive, he's up in the offensive zone with that long pole, being watched there by Taguri, who's an effective D-midi, and McCrory's going to shoot, and he crosses hands with the long pole and almost got that one in there. Wow, would that have been a spectacular goal for Pat McCrory? You've got the gloves on. I think that was a good call. I didn't bring any this weekend. I might be hunting some out if it cools off tomorrow. We've got a great perch up here, but the wind does get in. Oh, that shot just a little wide by Fernandez. Haven't seen him do too much, but like you said, he's a catch and release. His one goal earlier was gorgeous. They'll try and get him going again. Here's Mccullough coming out from below. Eddie, if he can get through, he'll shoot. Nice strip. Great job by Mccullough, but Eddie gets it back. He's going to go for a trot around the back line. Just slow things down. Short pass to Karam. Just puts his shoulder in. He's got space. That's a big save. That's Karam just bullying his way to the net. I almost thought Karam was just a little surprised that the man fell down and thought, I've got a spot I need to shoot.
Yeah.
And may not have had as much net as he thought he did with Walsh right there.
No, Walsh played that perfectly. His positioning was flawless and just so casually pops that ball back up with a save. I mean, the kid might be a freshman, but he is truly playing like a veteran today.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't know. Looking at him, oh, maybe on that pass. He looked like a freshman. Threw it almost between the wickets. That's a great play by Nathan McKenzie to get that one. He's having another solid game for Guelph. They're obviously missing Liam Patton. They'd love to have him playing that D-midi role and moving the ball up the floor. He was just a standout in the Arena Lacrosse League last year. That's a great patient clear. Nice job by Berger to get open, and the pass across by Robert Stockton. Probably haven't given him enough credit today for how well he's playing.
No, he's been playing fantastic, but what a well-executed clear by Guelph. We've seen them tried all different ways. Midfielders running up the field, a little tic-tac-toe. There they kill off a lot of clock and get it to safe space, which is huge with about 15 minutes left here.
Lynch is off the field, and Nick Finley is out playing defense on Simons. That's a great block on the shot by Oglevy, but the hard ride, Trent does get it, though. They've got numbers. Lyman Beatty hands it off. Oh, it just pops out of the stick of Finley. He gets it back, or does he? It's knocked away. It looks like he's going to be run onto here. Jonah Beam. Nice job by him to see where that ball was popping out and go get it. And Corbett will run away from some pressure while Guelph gets their attackers out. All kinds of pressure from
Shot.
Shot.
To keep running if Ethan Shot's on you, because pressure follows quite closely.
Guelph gets a bit of space and slows it down. We've got 14 minutes to go in the fourth. No scoring here in the fourth. It's still 6-6. I'm Stephen Stamp with Pat Gregoire. There's a chance. Oh, what a beautiful finish. We talked about how many times Alex Simons is getting the short stick on him. And that time I think it was Lyman Beatty that he beat. It might have been Cortland Blackarujo, but either way he gets in and tucks it home high.
And that's the thing. When you have depth scoring at the midfield position, it just creates nightmares for short stick defenders. And Simons taking advantage, so shifty with that dodge. But the most impressive thing is how he just perfectly places that ball top shelf. The ball just wasn't the hardest shot, but it was placed just so perfectly.
The ball comes way out. It's going to roll near the restraining line. Now it's over off the stick of Mccullough. Garrett Eddy tried to get position. Great play by Mccullough with that long pole. All kinds of pressure. Gets it to his goalie, but that's going to be knocked out. That's a terrific ride. Hard forecheck there by Adam Kitchen. Walsh quick enough to pop up and run back to his net before Trent can take advantage of him being on the ground back by the back line. What a play by Mccullough, though. Very impressive. Here's Blackarujo. And he actually wasn't on the field for that last goal. It was 19 Johnny Leclerc, the LSM. So it was Beatty and Leclerc that Simons was working his way through. Here's Zabolts. He's watched by Joshua Tuguri. Throws it out to McWilliams. He's just going to run up to the restraining line.
It's a very long slide for Justin Martin. I don't know if he's going to want to do that, leaving Garrett Eddy wide open at the top.
Zabolts with a shot. Walsh saw that right from the stick, though. He had it all the way. Travis Zabolts has scored some big goals for Trent over the last couple of years, but that feels like the second shot he kind of forced there in this game that just led to pretty easy saves for Hayden Walsh.
Well, we saw him last year. I mean, traditionally in his career, he's been an attackman. Just with all the recruits rolled in last year, they had no choice but to put him at midfield. And sure, his production wasn't as high, but he became almost a more valuable player as a depth piece at midfield. And we saw him with a couple of really big goals in the Baggataway playoffs, especially against Brock.
Yeah.
I think he had at least 2.
Yes. Yeah, the one where Trent was just having trouble finding the net for a long, extended period of time, and then he was on his offside that from the wing just bounced that one. What a shot that was. And he was pumped. I remember how excited he was after that goal. And that really turned the whole game around for Trent. Ball pops away. Great hustle by Schott to get on Berger, but what super hands by Berger to control it. And then Schott just strips him. And that is what Ethan Schott brings to your club. We've said it a few times, but he is a difference maker for this team. Here's Austin Cairns all the way up. He's got Garrett Eddy over on this side. They're going to make the short pass to Beatty. Cairns will go back. Eddy's still left all alone. Now Taguri will get on him, but Fernandez bounces it through. You called it. They need him to come step up for them, and he just picks that ball up and bounces it home. Nobody near him.
Nobody near him at all. Picks up that ball. A near identical shot. This time the bounce doesn't go through the 5-hole. It bounces up and goes piping in. Another perfectly placed shot by Fernandez. Sure, there are stretches where you might not notice 77 on the field, but when he gets opportunities in places like that, he normally doesn't miss.
We're midway through the fourth quarter. It's tied up again, 7-7, and Ferguson with the clean win, coming down with numbers. Over to Fernandez. Oh, what a save, Hayden Walsh. That was huge. Fernandez looking for the hat trick, and that would have been a big goal. That was a great save because Fernandez, like you said, doesn't miss much. Oh, and then they forced the pass, and it's scooped up by Johnny Leclerc. He throws it to Eddie. Eddie thought about going straight to the net. Now he's waiting, and Martin is back there to pick him up. Mccullough stays high with Karam. And they throw it to Nick Finley. He's going to slow things down as Danny Mickel is coming out to join them. Kitchen, he had a hat trick last week against Bishops, as well as 3 assists. He and Eddie each having 6 points for Trent in that do-or-die game. That was as Jeff McKinley called it, the death match of playing games for Kufla. Because normally it's the top 3 teams against the bottom 3 teams in those play-in games. But this year, with Queens being the host and being in the bottom half of the conference, number 2 Trent and number 3 Bishops had a heck of a battle. There's Garrett. Eddie scores! Eddie with 4. He has taken over this game, and Trent has their first lead of the afternoon.
Once again, a slide coming from Eddie's man, and great job by Trent to recognize, throwing it back up top, and he just lets this one unload, scoring his 4th goal of the afternoon. We talked about how he's such an impact player, and boy, it seems like he just is so calm with whatever he does.
There will be a player of the game for each team in these tournament games. I think Garrett Eddy was already in consideration. I think it was Austin Cairns earlier, but I think Garrett Eddy has that spot right now for Trent.
Yeah.
And for Guelph, a lot of guys. I still like Justin Martin, number 21, who's played well defensively, but I mean, Mike Berger has done a pretty good job for them too.
Hayden Walsh as well, I think.
Hayden Walsh, yeah.
About. I mean, 8 goals against. It could be worse if he hadn't made a couple of huge saves where this Guelph defense has kind of had a couple of lulls.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to the Guelph trainer before the game and said, it'll be interesting to see because you guys have to, Trent's defense has been a little inconsistent. You're going to have to get some goals because I said, you're not going to hold them under 10. They've got too many weapons. She said, yeah, probably not. We're going to have to get it going. They might. They've only given up 8 with 7.5 to go. This has been a great defensive performance, and Walsh has been the linchpin of that. Trent trying to get another one, trying to extend that lead. Blackarujo fends off the check from McKenzie, throws it up top. Zabolts will take his time, watched by Taguri. Fernandez to Kitchen behind the net. They're going to let Kitchen have a run at it here with Wilson on him. Tries to get to Blackarujo, doesn't get to him. Zabolts is the first one there. He gets pushed over from behind. Guelph didn't like that call. Zabolts looked like he kind of bent over and was expecting the push. He knew exactly where the player was, and I think he was ready to topple to the turf. But there was definite contact.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a veteran play.
Yeah, and you can, in that 7-foot zone, you can hit a guy. You can knock him off the ball, but you can't do it from behind. And I think what Guelph doesn't like is that Zabolts is a big, strong guy and went over pretty easily, but there was contact. There was solid contact. I think it's the right call. McWilliams has it. The stall was on momentarily. It's off now. Wilson is out on McWilliams, who's going to try and make something happen here. 5 Trent players over towards the middle of the field, but Fernandez now drifting towards McWilliams. He's going to have a shot. Oh, and that's worst case scenario for Trent. You either want that going in or going wide, not into the stick of Walsh.
Couldn't see, but there was a Guelph defender's stick that kind of jammed up McWilliams and just allowed Hayden Walsh to eat that one up.
Yeah. It's not in Trent's nature, or most of the teams in this league, honestly, to just try and run around for 6 minutes with a 1-goal lead. But a little more patience, I think, might have been a good idea there. Cole McWilliams has done some great things for Trent, but On that one, maybe pull it out
Yeah.
and hit the pass.
Especially when you have a defender on Garrett Eddy who's starting to trail away, look to slide to you.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a slide coming to you, that means that there is an open man. So maybe look for that option instead.
Yeah, Garrett Eddy, over 40 goals this season with combining the playoffs and the regular season. 43, actually, now with his 4 this afternoon. Murray taking his time up top. Thought he had a bit of a lane for a second, but a nice recovery there. That was Josh Miller getting back. Here's Leclerc way up high, and the Trent forwards, their attack, just yelling that the double was coming, the pick. And a great job by Leclerc to avoid it. Lynch gets his stick in there. They get to Corbett. What a feed by Oglevy, and the beautiful finish by Liam Corbett.
There was next to no space for Oglevy to put this pass right in the middle of the stack, and good on Corbett as well to have the awareness to grab that, take one step and rip it by Austin Cares to tie this game up at 8 with just over 4 minutes to go.
So it's going to be quite a finish. If there is overtime, it's 2 4-minute overtime halves. You play the full 8 minutes. One half going in each direction. Guelph gets the ball off the faceoff. They'll get the first chance to take a lead here. Again, both these teams, great coaches. And we talked about the Trent staff, but Sam Kozakowski and his group at Guelph, just fantastic. They are missing one of their coaches, as Anthony Yoakum is at the New England Black Wolves training camp. Trent was in this situation last week, we said, where they went to overtime, having to come back late in the game. Guelph is a younger team, so you think maybe the veteran presence on Trent gives them a bit of an edge in this final few minutes. But boy, when you've got young players like Berger, and I mean, that's not a bad guy to have the ball. And there's a rip and a goal, and it's Mitch Oglevy, another freshman, who does it.
A freshman from Peterborough, Ontario to boot. Like you said earlier, boy, would he love to put down his hometown team. Talked about it earlier in the broadcast. When there's so many superstars in a Canadian championship game like that, there's so much on those big-time players. And in games like this, it's those secondary pieces that come out to play. And boy, has Jeff Oglevy done that today.
Yeah, Mitch Oglevy.
Mitch Oglevy, sorry.
Jeff Oglevy was quite a player.
Yes, he was.
Mitch probably a little more offensive.
Yes, that also is true.
Trent gets possession. They trail by 1. We're into the final 3 minutes. Cairns taking his time. No rush here from Trent. They know they've got time. The lights are on in the stadium as the sun is sinking down. It's getting a bit darker, but they've got the lights on nice and early. There are no issues, I would say, with visibility. Sometimes when you go through the twilight, you can have an issue, but I mean, this is a great lighting system too. We've mentioned how much we like this stadium, but it is beautiful. They get it ahead to shot. He's going to hit Dan Mccullough, who's got a chance here. He shoots, scores! The veteran captain, Dan Mccullough. I almost said earlier, he seems like he's due for a big goal. I should have said it because it would have been spot on.
Absolutely. He is a big-time player, loves the spotlight. And what bigger spotlight than being down a goal with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Rips home a beauty that beats Hayden Walsh. I mean, there's just those players that it doesn't matter how big the stage, they somehow find ways to come up big, and that's the exact player that Mccullough is.
Another extended face-off battle. Ferguson rips it out. Can Finley get it? He's pushed over from behind, and it will be Trent possession. Not much question there as Taguri just gave him a shove in the back. Dan Mccullough has it. Trent with possession will try and end this in regulation time. They're not going to rush, but as we saw there from Mccullough, now obviously it's different when you're down by 1, but I don't think they're going to wait for a last shot. They may wind up not taking a shot till the end, but if they have a chance, I think they'll shoot. I think they have the confidence in their offense and their defense that they're not going to worry about potentially giving the ball up.
No, that's the thing with this Trent team. They're so confident. Some may say a little too confident, if you will, but you know what? If you're an offensive player and you don't have confidence in yourself or your teammates, there's something obviously wrong.
Adam Kitchen has the ball, and I talked to him after, along with Mike Davis from the Peterborough Examiner, after the game last week against Bishops, and we said, there must have been some moments of doubt when you're down by 3 goals. He said, no, we always knew we were going to win. It was just a matter of how we were going to do it. I was like, wow. I don't know if I'd say that after a game I was down by 3 in the fourth quarter. I mean, Trent taking their time. We're into the final minute. It is stop time here in the final 3 minutes. Finley has the short pole on him to Gurry. Garrett Eddy is alone behind the net. See if they get it to him. Martin has an eye on him. Trent is taking their time. Maybe they are just going to wait. I still feel like if they get a chance, they'll shoot it. And here's Finley. He shoots, scores! Nick Finley! What a bouncer. That one almost came up right under the crossbar. That's a gorgeous play. Just waiting, and then the quick first step and the bury.
Finley almost running out of room as he almost passes GLE and has next to no place to put this ball. Bounces it just at the feet of Hayden Walsh. Basically the only spot that Walsh couldn't make that save, and somehow finds the back of the cage. 27 seconds to go here.
Big face-off between Manigan and Ferguson. Manigan wins it to himself and immediately yells timeout. We can hear him clearly up here, and we're well up at the top of the stadium. I think Trent is arguing something about that. Are they arguing about the call? Nick Finley is out there talking to the official, who says, no, he had the ball, he called timeout.
Yeah, almost immediately as they called timeout, the entire staff was screaming no. So I don't know, maybe if they didn't know if they had any timeouts left or what it was.
Yeah, that's their second of the half. That's it for them.
That's a smart play by Manigan to win that face-off, run to space, and scream at the top of your lungs, timeout.
And I'm hoping the camera's on Mark Farthing here as he talks to his Trent defense. You can see how animated he is. And he is all over them. He is fired up. And it's interesting because when Trent got their run and got back to a tie and took their first lead, every one of the Trent coaches, all 4 of them, you could see the 2 hands, palms down to the ground. Stay calm. Don't get overexcited. Yes, we've got a lot of time to go. And then you might not have heard me too well because I was doing it with my hands, one of which is holding my mic. But Farthing was fired up in that one. The D, you could hear one of their players saying, this is why we practice, D. Let's do this. Guelph will have possession, and they will have exactly 25 seconds to go. The ball comes over to Oglevy, the last scorer for Guelph. He's going to make a little dodge. Leaves it there for Berger, who slides through. He's stripped. The ball is down. Guelph's going to get it. It's picked up by Oglevy. Wait a second. Now Guelph's taking another timeout. Obviously, the refs would have told them. I could have sworn they took one. No, Trent took one earlier in the half. So that's Guelph's just their second and a half. I thought they'd used them both.
No, that's their second timeout now.
It threw me for a second. And Mark Farthing is heading all the way out to his defensive unit. And I think the ref has just told him, no. They have to come here to you.
Yeah. Got to stay on your own half.
Yeah. Farthing with the bright green pants. And, it's great to see him back out and running around like that because he did, he worked so long to make it into the National Lacrosse League. He made the Toronto Rock roster. He got to play a game with them, played a great game, his first game with them, and then blew his knee out, missed a year.
Traffic, I know.
And he actually got back and played his first lacrosse in 16 months at the Mann Cup, where he's getting a Mann Cup ring with the Peterborough Lakers, and it was great to see him back out. And man, that was pretty exciting to see one of the really good guys in the game back. You hate to see guys get hurt, and it's so nice to see them come back. And I mean, we saw the devastating Curtis Knight injury a few years ago in Oshawa at the Baggataway Cup when nobody near him, and he just went down, crumpled into a heap, and he was gone for a year plus, and missed his National Lacrosse League season. Here comes Guelph. They would love to see a goal, and they do. What a play to tie it up. Mike Kavanaugh, who we haven't seen do much in this game, but he does it all for them right now, and what a feed running across that seam.
Michael Kavanaugh, like you mentioned, playing a much, much smaller role this year, just 18 points, 12 goals. In a long time, he has been one of their top offensive players, but it doesn't matter. The most important goal of the Gryphons season just happened, and it came from the veteran stick to tie the game up with under 5 seconds to go.
And bear in mind that Guelph had a couple of games this year against Western. There are 2 games against Western in the regular season where they scored a total of 10 goals. So for them to get 10 in this game against Trent is a huge accomplishment, and they have the momentum as we will go to overtime, tied 10-10. And, boy, this is going to be exciting. I have a cramp.
This game has been back and forth. We've seen absolutely everything. Like you mentioned, it's been such a great battle between the goalies and the defenders, but there still have been 20 goals scored. Both these teams proving that they have earned their spot in the top 6, the final Baggataway here at the beautiful Richardson Stadium. I mean, we've seen pretty much everything so far.
Yeah.
Been such a back and forth battle.
Great saves by both goalies. Yep. Some terrific defensive play. Justin Martin's been very good. Ethan Schott has just been amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So we will have 4 minutes and then 4 minutes. 2 halves of 4 minutes each. We'll play it all, the full 8 minutes. And then after that, if we're still tied, we go to 4-minute periods. Not sudden death. We play those 4 minutes out. After the 4 minutes, it is sudden death. But we will go to 4-minute period. So it would be sudden death at that point. We can't be here all weekend. Well, we're going to be here all weekend, but we got to get to the next game. So thanks to Brent Coulombe for coming up and sharing the...
1 timeout per team in the first 2 overtimes. Both timeouts and sudden death.
Okay. So 1 timeout per team in these 4-minute overtime periods per 4 minutes. So that's plenty of timeouts for them. None if we do go to sudden death.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, just as that quarter was ending, I got a horrible hamstring cramp, and I had to fight my way to stand up because we're under the little desk here. I'm 6'9", so my knees are pretty much right up against the counter here. But I got to make sure I stay hydrated for the second game. We have more action coming tonight, 7 p.m. Just an hour and 10 minutes from now, we will have the defending Baggataway Cup champion Western Mustangs against the host team, the Queens Gales. Come on out, folks, if you get a chance to get here. This is a beautiful stadium. It's going to be a great weekend of lacrosse. But if you're too far away, please do join us. All 5 games this weekend at the Baggataway Cup will be live right here on the Kufla Facebook page, brought to you by Queens TV. Great job so far. It looks excellent. I've been watching the, taking a peek on the stream here and there, and it looks good. I hear it sounds good.
That's great because the play on the field has been great as well. So
these guys deserve to be watched.
Yes. No doubt.
Here we go. Overtime. Who will go to the semifinals to face the Brock Badgers tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m.? Manigan gets the ball, but Schott is on him. Great pass to get it back over to Mccullough, and Guelph has the first possession. Again, not sudden death. We will play the full 8 minutes to 4-minute periods. And Trent is going left to right on your screen. Guelph in the black going right to left. Guelph taking their time, being patient. Oglevy. Quick pass to Berger, who goes immediately to Simons. He's got Lynch on him. Lynch knocks it loose and then scoops it up. Oh, he didn't quite grab onto it. Eventually, though, great chance there for Miller, and he couldn't get it. Nobody able to regain possession. Oh, and Josh Miller goes back and gets it. That's a huge pickup. He's being checked. He might actually want to take the timeout. It's too late as it is stripped. Great ride by Liam Corbett.
Looked like nobody wanted that ball there. Everyone fighting over it.
Well, Josh Miller worked so hard to get it back, and then I was actually half expecting for us to be able to hear him scream timeout when he got double teamed there and had nobody near him to help. It didn't actually look like any of the Trent players knew he'd picked it up initially, and he just sprinted out away. Now Miller putting some defense here on Heidecker. How unlikely would Heidecker be as a overtime hero with 2 goals in the regular season? And he's out there playing his role. Corbett,
defensive specialist.
across to Simon. Simon's on Lynch, one-on-one. Great D by Lynch. It's down on the ground. Berger comes up with it. He's got Leclerc all over him. Trent playing really tight defense. A great switch as Leith stays with Berger. You can tell they want to stay on him with good cause, the 25-goal scorer in the regular season. Heidecker gets it back to Berger. Johnny Leclerc is up on him. There's Lynch watching Simons. Simons wants to make something happen. There's a big slide, but they get it through. Oh, the shot is knocked down. Leith actually kind of runs into the ride, but he'll lob it ahead to a wide open shot, the one hop. And you can see these guys have adjusted now to the bounce and what they're going to expect here. There's a pass to Lynch. Timeout, Trent. Johnny Lynch was like, what's going on? I had a chance. Trent's going to slow it down, get their set, get their offensive guys out. Minute 23 to go here. And again, even if somebody scores in this first overtime period, we do play the second 4-minute period. Guelph's dominant, had the ball the whole first 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is tricky now for the offense. For Trent, you haven't touched the ball in quite some time now. So, obviously, with a minute 20 left, you don't want to force an opportunity to give Guelph a chance to go up 1 goal. But with that being said, you want to move around, you want to get your touches, and if you do have an opportunity, you're going to try to take it here.
Very interesting, looking at the Trent huddle. You can see in Guelph, it's Sam Kozakowski talking to his guys. For Trent, Jeff McKinley was just standing there. Nick Karam had a knee, almost like a quarterback in the huddle, and was just showing a few things, diagramming with his hands, suggesting a few things. Garrett Eddy was responding. They were having a little conversation. They talked about what they've been seeing, what they think can work. And then at the end, Jeff McKinley said, you could see him take it and say, yeah, let's do this. I want to keep this in mind, whatever. But that's some fine coaching to be open to your players. And at the other end, I mean, Sam Kozakowski listens to his players too. I'm not trying to suggest he doesn't. It was just in the situation he seemed to be talking a bit more in this particular instance. Fernandez down to Kitchen. 4 lefties out there for Trent as they overload a bit. Finley's the 4th, and he's up top and will take the pass over on his offside. Switches it up and over to Mickle. The 2 short sticks up on Finley and Mickle. They're going to see if they can take advantage of that. Under a minute to play here in the first overtime. I'm Stephen Stamp with Pat Gregoire. It's Baggataway Cup on Queen's TV. What a game this has been. No idea how this one's going to play out. Trent really taking their time here. Mickle, who scored the huge, I believe Mickle got the 10th for Trent, did he not?
Yes.
Yeah. He gives it off to Finley. Or was it Finley, actually? Finley scored the one beauty where he went down low. There's Mickle. Yeah, I think it was Mickle with number 9 and Finley with number 10. So many contributors. Finley with the one-hand catch. We've got 8 seconds left in the quarter. Finley's going to swim, switch hands off the post, and it's swatted out into the corner by by Nathan McKenzie. And Trent didn't seem like any of their plans were coming to fruition, and Nick Finley just went on his own and almost scored another beauty.
And that's the thing, you recognize that's good awareness on him. You know, the plays that they were trying to call, nothing came about, and he recognized, all right, I've got a few seconds here remaining. I'm just going to try to create something myself. Worst case scenario, turns the ball over. There's not enough time for the other team to go up the field and transition. So, and he almost scored there too.
Now, the one odd thing, they had a minute 23 there when they called the timeout. In that 83 seconds of possession, Garrett Eddy never touched the ball. And I don't know if they were trying to use him as a decoy and let the other guys work. They really seemed to be trying to work that one through Finley and Mickle and take advantage of the short sticks on D. But I'm not gonna question them too much because I feel like Jeff McKinley knows an awful lot more about what his team can go out and do out there and about the sport than I do. But I would be inclined to get it in the stick of Eddie at some point.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt that you're going to want to get it at some point. But with the way that he scored here today, it hasn't been him generating offense himself with Martin covering him. It's been when they've gotten him away. So what they need to do is try to get him back from up top at the midfield position. Try to get a switch so Martin pops off him and they can get that short stick matchup or even one of the other long poles, because when he does have that opportunity, he hasn't really been able to get much offense going. It's been from fast breaks or other opportunities. So look to see Trent try to fix things around that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll see what happens. No scoring in the first overtime. We'll see who can get it going in the second, if anyone, or if we go to sudden death.
Mm-hmm.
Face-offs again, huge. That's possession so important here. Ferguson and Manigan have really had some battles. Manigan dominated the first half. Ferguson really got back on level par with him, I think, in the second half. We'll get this one. They're down. They're set. Quick starts by both. Looks like Manigan has better position on the ball. Ferguson keeps fighting, though. But it's Manigan who comes out with it to himself. Passes across from the back of the stick. Gets it over too short. Trent's defense trying to keep Guelph to the outside as the Gryphons will set things up. Any goal here, it's not sudden death, but boy, you really put yourself in a good position if you can get one now.
It's as close as sudden death as possible.
They go way up to the top to Berger. Little push pass back to Oglevy. Oglevy's directing Kavanaugh in tight and will run around behind the net. Finley's on him, so Finley's staying with Oglevy. The Nepean guy playing for Trent and the Peterborough guy playing for Guelph. Oh, a great strip and then shot right back on him to keep the chance out of the hands of Alex Simons. Looked like Simons was coming into some space, but shot right on top of him. Oh, Lynch gets up high on Berger. No call, and Trent comes back the other way. Their first possession of extra time, and they're going to try and take it. Finley going, shoots, scores! Finley looked off. Jeff Fernandez spins in his second huge goal of the game.
Absolutely massive goal. Just as he spins off and takes that shot. Like you said, pretty bold looking off a goal scorer like Fernandez, but when you cash in like that, you never question the shot.
No.
When a player's feeling it, let them take that shot, and good thing he did because it was an absolute bullet.
Well, and Finley, I mentioned earlier, he wasn't imposing as a junior 2 years ago with Peterborough. This past summer, he played in the winter in the Arena Lacrosse League and was just a breakout star. A big face-off win by Ferguson to get possession back for Trent. But Finley had a solid summer, but he was wispy before. He was tall and thin, like a lot. I mean, I was a tall, thin guy all through my teens and into my early 20s, But you can be strong like that. I mean, I was a national team rower. You can have the strength with the thinness, but he is really bulked up. I went and shook his hand when he arrived at the NLL Combine. It's nice play by Cairns to get it ahead of Leclerc. And Finley is a big, strong man now. Trent's going to take their time out. 2 minutes from a place in the semifinals. And they can just hang on to the ball here. Guelph's going to have to come out and press. And Trent, now, I mean, we said earlier when it was tied that they wouldn't necessarily wait for the last shot. Now they're waiting.
Absolutely.
They're just going to try and kill this 2 minutes and 1 second.
Absolutely. I don't think you see Guelph throw the double quite yet, but no doubt you'll assume that they're going to try to get that ball back. You have to put pressure on immediately. Maybe you don't throw the double out quite now, but they're going to have to put some pressure on to try to get that ball back. 2 minutes left here. Trent has some guys that can really hold on, rag onto the ball. So that 2 minutes is going to tick off quicker than it feels like.
I think Guelph's going to get Hayden Walsh out pressuring fairly quickly, but I mean the thing, and it becomes a conundrum, right? If you're Trent, like, do you put the ball in the empty net when the goalie comes out?
If it's me, I'm a big believer. You kill
on to the ball
as much as
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
as much as absolute possible, unless it's a guaranteed chance you're naked in front of the net. And
Well, the net will be empty. That's what I'm talking about. When Walsh does come out and plays defense,
Yeah.
joins with the
The
pressure,
yeah.
and you have the
Get
open
that
look. I
double,
mean,
yeah.
you'll see times guys could easily put it in, a defender not even
No.
between them and the net.
No, you have to chew up as much
Yeah.
time as possible.
Yeah. I'm a fan. Like, when you get into the final 30 seconds, I say put the ball in the net if you like,
Yeah.
and then just try and get possession. And but
So-
we'll see. We'll see what they do. There's the pressure right away, and Karam throws it all the way back down to Austin Cairns, their goaltender, who is well out of his net. Shot, fakes ahead, and throws it back. Great clear by Trent as they have Pat Mccrory stepping over center, and he'll roll
Walsh
it
is
ahead
out
for
now.
Dan Mickle. And Mickle looked like he was going to let it go, but he doesn't. Now he throws it back to Cole McWilliams. McWilliams loves to run around. They get it back to Mickle. Minute and a half to go. Oh, that was
Wow.
tipped and grabbed by Walsh. He was out pressuring. What a play by Justin Martin. Boy, we were talking about Martin as maybe the player of the game for Guelph. He may be back into it if they can score here. They do. And a flag? No.
Wow. What a sequence. Are you kidding me?
Oh, you know what? I just watched it on, because the stream is a little bit behind live time, so I was able to just watch it. And you know what? The goal is a beauty, and it's a legit flag. Nick Karam just ran over the man by the side of the net after the play, and that's a penalty, and that's just a momentary lapse in judgment that could prove to be vital here.
Oh.
We've got a minute 12 left in this.
On that goal there, too short. We kind of saw him be shut down a little bit. Leith was doing a good job covering him, and we saw him in the first, be the true source of offense. But as that second came, it was some more secondary players that really came out. And, I mean, obviously then Berger and Corbett, two other guys and Simons, main players. But in the big moment, a big player comes out to play, and we see that so often. But, wow. That's a penalty that you don't want to take. But at the same time, you're running so hard to try to get back in position, and it's almost too much where you try to pull back and you finish your check, and I think that's the right call, though.
I think it is, too, because he didn't try to pull back. He ran right into him and made that check. I believe it's 30 seconds.
Yeah, it should only be a 30-second call if that's the case.
Yeah. So with 1:12 to go, if Trent can get possession, they shouldn't have too much trouble killing that 30 seconds. Oh, no, they are starting with possession.
Yeah, they would be.
Yeah.
It would be possession.
It came after
after the
face-off, right.
Yeah.
Right.
After the goal, so
Right. If it had been before, if it had been a delayed, then
Yeah.
we would have had a face-off, right? Would we not?
If
Yeah.
it happened before and the goal wasn't, or the flag wasn't wiped off,
Yeah.
then yes, in fact, that's what would happen.
So Guelph has the ball and the man up and a chance to win this. Now, do they go after it? No, it looks like they're going to wait.
Mhm.
Trent's actually got 6 guys out there now. So how does that work? I am a little confused. So no man advantage. Hayden Walsh is exhorting his team to go get one. Simons, watched by Lynch. Corbett's going to switch places with him. Thought there was a pick coming, but he just slid by. Gets it back from Oglevy. 22 seconds. Simons trying to get under Lynch. Great job by Lynch. It's going to go up to Oglevy. 11 on the clock. Kavanaugh tries to spin off. He's watched by Finley. Cairns coming way out. Here's a shot by Oglevy. Misses. Did Cairns get a bit of it? I think he may have just touched that wide. If so, that is a game-saving save by Austin Cairns. Oglevy trying to sink his hometown university, but we will go to sudden death overtime, 11-11, Trent and Guelph.
If this game is any indication how this tournament is going to go, we are absolutely in for a treat. Both these teams so closely contested, but so different in not just personality on team, the players that they have and the way they play the game, but it just matches so perfectly. But yeah, the two teams, they match so perfectly together. So no timeouts here, and it is sudden death. 4 minutes here to go, so just 2 goals scored in the overtime as well, so there's a good chance that even if it wasn't, it probably would have ended on 1 goal anyways here, so.
The captains are out there to have a little discussion. Trent loves to send the 4 captains. It seems like most teams send their 3 out there. Guelph does. It's Michael Kavanagh, Ben Heidecker, and Justin Martin.
So 3 guys there you mentioned. Those are 3 guys that have been around this program for a long time with those young players. So those are the guys that have taught these young kids how to come out and win in games like these. Mm-hmm. Those players have been involved in some big games as well, and
yeah,
Trent has as well. So I think you have to give the edge right now to the experience to Trent. They are a little bit older, but the way that this Guelph Gryphons team has played so far, they're playing like they have a bunch of veterans on their team, and they're young players, including Hayden Walsh, who has been unbelievable in between the pipes.
Are we going to do the Walsh has been great. Are we going to do the old pick a player each? You want to go first? One from each team?
Sure. I'll go Mike Berger for Guelph, and
Fair.
I'll say Garrett Eddy for Trent.
I've got Nick Finley for Trent, and I kind of wanted Berger, but I am going to take Alex Simons.
That's a good pick, though, too.
Yeah. Now, that was interesting. Manigan had his stick backwards still. He tried to catch that pass on the backside of his stick, and it popped right off. Luckily for him, there's nobody around. And then it's dropped there by Taguri. So Guelph having some trouble. It's stripped by Beatty. Shot gets it. There are no timeouts, so he's got to get out of trouble. And he does. Gets it back to Leclerc, using the stick to its maximum reach, and gets it ahead to Pat Mccrory. What a great play to get possession for Trent. Sudden victory overtime. Nick Finley has it.
And that's so big for Trent. They have those defenders that are not only great athletes, but they have such great hands with the big long pole in their stick.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat Mccrory plays just as good with a long pole as he does probably with a short stick.
Oh, he's unbelievable. We saw the one he almost scored earlier.
Oh, my God, disgusting.
Trent taking their time. Eddie on the far side shoots. Save Walsh.
Wow.
That's big. And Karam was Karam shooting, sorry.
Yeah.
And now he's going to get the ball back. What a play by Karam. He's going to run it out. Goes to the net, shoots from his knees, and Walsh just drops on that.
I like the first shot. I don't necessarily know if I absolutely love that one there.
Guelph has it now in the offensive zone. Michael Kavanagh has the ball. Throws it up top. You can hear Walsh yelling, "Be sure." Berger with it. Alex Simons running around behind. Simons trying to fight his way through. Looks like he's set up from behind the back, but the nice defense gets it over to short. Corbett, they move it quickly. There's Berger. Shots out on him. Great job by Leith and Lynch on defense over on the near side. Berger, so dangerous. Simons got the lane underneath. Lynch, did he give him too much? He did! The huge winner, Alex Simons! Overtime victor, Alex Simons. What a play.
Alex Simons completely dominating that entire offensive possession. His first chance, holds on, waits, pulls it back out. Second time, he sees the lane, he takes it to the net, and bull rushes through to bull rush this Guelph team to a semi-final appearance here at the Baggataway Cup.
And Mark Farthing is out hugging Johnny Lynch, who just feels awful. So he got beat on that play.
Yeah.
And, you want to force him wide. You want to force him to go and do it on his own, not have help, because you've got Berger up top. You've got other people who are so dangerous. Short is up there, but he was half a step high, and you could see it coming.
Saw it from a mile away, and sometimes it's that obvious play that you do see coming that you just can't stop. And the way that Alex Simons played today, it did seem at some points he was unstoppable. Yeah. And we talked about how, a lot of this offense does come from their attack with Short and Corbett and even Kavanaugh, even though he didn't have the best season this year for him, although he did come up huge with the game-tying goal. We said that this midfield core is going to play a big, big role, and they certainly did here today. And Guelph, whatever it is, I don't know what it is with Sam Koskowski's team, but in the Baggataway Cup and in playoffs, they always find ways to win.
They do. And that's a crushing blow as Garrett Eddy gets the Player of the Game award for Trent. Well earned. 4 goals, and he was excellent. And for Guelph, Alex Simons was going to be the Player of the Game, was right in there for the Player of the Game anyway, but then the overtime winner.
Yeah.
It becomes obvious. But, crushing for a Trent team that thought they had the team this year to get that one step further and get up on the top of the podium. Mm-hmm. But, that was a fantastic game of lacrosse.
It was. It really was. How double OT.
Triple OT.
Sorry, triple OT.
Yeah.
I guess technically,
yeah.
But, I said it earlier, but if this is how the lacrosse is going to be for the rest of this turn, I don't know if it can be this thrilling the entire way. We're in for some good lacrosse.
That'll wrap it up. We are just 46 minutes away with the overtime from Western and Queens. That should be a dandy. Western, the heavy favorites, but Queens, the plucky hometown host team, and they're very good, better than their record indicates. I'm Stephen Stamp for Pat Gregoire and everyone else here at Queens TV. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again very soon.